What you're about to witness is one of the most incredible performances in tournament history. A 78-year-old man sat down across from nearly 3,000 players in the biggest event of the year, with a lamp to see his cards and help from the dealer to stack his chips. He was making the best professionals in the world get up from the table empty-handed, while he piled up a monumental stack of chips with relentless aggression that no one could figure out. How did this man navigate such a brutal field, outplay the pros, and walk away with millions? Let's find out. Jean-Noël Thorel is a 78-year-old French entrepreneur who built a global pharmaceutical empire and who discovered cards at an age when most people are already retired from everything. But he didn't treat it like a hobby. He treated it like an obsession. At 72, he was already appearing at final tables of prestigious high-roller tournaments. By the time he turned 78, he had spent nearly a decade crushing high-stakes tournaments, more than $28 million in earnings, #1 on France's all-time money list. And while other players used solvers and teams of coaches, Thorel had something different. A lamp to be able to see his cards, and an aggression so absurd that the professionals struggled to decipher it. But there was a problem. He took second place at the Triton London main event, second place at Triton Jeju, second place at the PCA Super High Roller, always close, never at the top. But in December 2025, at the WSOP Paradise in the Bahamas, JNT had one more chance. The $25,000 WSOP Paradise drew a record field of 2,891 entrants, a prize pool of $72 million, $10 million for first place. The best players in the world, professionals, champions, legends, all sat down to play, and so did the old man with the lamp. By day 3, the bubble had burst and everyone still standing was guaranteed at least $50,000. Stacks were deep, blinds were rising, and the competition was beginning to separate the players who could handle the pressure from those who couldn't. But Jean Thorel didn't seem to have any. Among the chip leaders at this stage was Charles Hook, a young American professional with a huge stack and the willingness to use it. Hook opens from the cutoff with Jack 10, a standard steel attempt to apply pressure. What he doesn't know is that JNT, sitting with less than 20 big blinds, has just looked down at a pair of kings, and instead of shoving everything to the middle, he decides to set a trap. He makes a small 3-bet to just $7.6 million, enough to keep Hook in the hand. Hook calls. The flop comes, 3-9 ace with 2 diamonds, the worst card in the deck for the kings. And now the question is, what does a man with kings do on a board with an ace against the aggressive chip leader? What he does next is the reason why he's so hard to play against.
Ace 9 tray. Normally we are so nervous about those aces rolling off when we have kings, but not against the Jack 10.
Especially the elderly.
Check makes sense. Oh,
Diamond draw acquired. Card. Great turn card.
Just in case you're up against the ace. I like this check.
As long as he doesn't give up too a little bit.
Bet 3 million.
Took the bait.
Oh, what a small size.
Jabbing here.
What is it? It's like disrespectful that he's gonna fold to that.
3 million.
What is the purpose of that?
The 3 million? I think it's perhaps to run a multi-street bluff. He might even stab on this 4 diamond if it gets over to Hook.
Oh, JNT, check.
I would love to see a check.
You feel like Hook hitting the Jack here is apt?
It's not worth
the
any
diamond
showdown.
is just, yeah, he has to.
They're 1 million or like 500s?
They're 500s.
Oh,
I feel like
JNT.
17,
I think he's going to try to bluff.
Of course.
9.7.
Bet
Yeah.
1,000,000.
Shake out a non-diamond hand.
Well, didn't really give much of a sweat there. You know.
Cool. Nice, JNT.
50 mil.
I love to see that he checked on the river. That was great. Well played.
Played it well.
The man with the lamp wasn't playing scared. He took a line that allowed him to extract maximum value from his big pair. A few hands went by, and then Charles Hook found himself in another pot with JNT, where almost the same story would repeat itself. This time, Hook opens from early position with ace-10 of hearts. Thorel defends from the small blind with king-queen. The flop falls, jack-9-4. Both players check. The turn brings a queen of hearts, pairing Thorel, but instead of betting, he checks again. The same patient, defensive posture as before. Hook, sitting with ace-high, a straight draw in position, decides this pot is his. He bets $5 million. Thorel calls without hesitation. The river falls, and Charles Hook, feels he's seen this movie before.
Defensive posture that he's taking with what is the best hand and stays that way is something once upon a time that he was not.
That's true. You know, you can't just put him on hand because he's not betting. And it looks like he's likely going to get more of Hook's chips. Always seems to want to bluff J&T.
Seems like it's gonna be big.
Well, 1.4 SPR effective.
9.7.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
That's the second time, by the way, that Hook has gotten after JNT and he's been snapped.
Snap code.
The American had tried to bluff the Frenchman twice and walked away empty-handed, but the game wasn't over yet. Day 4 was approaching, and things were about to get more interesting. 24 players returned for Day 4, all guaranteed at least $335,000. But in this field, $335,000 wasn't what anyone had sat down for. The top of the payout structure was life-changing, and everyone knew it. JNT returned to his seat with more than $100 million in chips, 51 big blinds. He wasn't the leader, but right in the middle. And it didn't take him long to announce himself. Tomas Jozonis opens from the hijack with King 8 of clubs, a standard attempt to steal the blinds and antes. Thorel is on the button. He looks down and sees 2 5s. The easy play is to call, see the flop, try to hit a set and stack your opponent. But this man keeps his game unpredictable. He makes a 3-bet to 14 million. Jozonis folds immediately. 9 million in chips slide across the felt to the old Frenchman. That's how his game is. He doesn't need a strong hand to accumulate chips. He needs the right moment. And on this day, every moment felt right. Over the next 2 hours, JNT was relentless. He 3-bet with small pairs. He fired continuation bets on unfavorable boards. He applied pressure from every angle, accumulating chips hand after hand. By the time 2 tables remained, he was sitting behind 244 million in chips. And then, Charles Hook appeared again. After JNT beat him not once but twice on Day 3, Charles Hook finally found his moment. Noel raises to 7 million with Ace-King. Hook, sitting right next to him, looks at his cards and finds a pair of queens, one of the strongest hands in Hold'em. He doesn't waste time and goes all in. Everyone else folds. The Frenchman calls instantly. It's a good situation for Hook. Bellarmino de Sousa had folded an ace before the action got to JNT, eliminating one of the outs that could hurt him. Hook has slightly better odds this time, but the flop brings a king. The turn and river offer nothing. Charles Hook, one of the most prominent high rollers in the field, is eliminated, and JNT begins to stack his 300 million stack. But he wasn't done. After a couple of hours of eliminations, 9 remained. The final table of the WSOP Paradise $25,000 super main event was set. Jean-Noël Thorel and Bernhard Binder, a young Austrian crusher who had been flying under the radar throughout the tournament, were nearly tied at the top of the chip count. The payouts told the story of what was at stake. 9th place would take home $850,000. First, $10 million. For most players at that table, this was the biggest moment of their poker lives. The pressure was immense, the weight of every decision multiplied by the size of the payouts. However, for the Frenchman was probably the least worried person at the table, and now with that chip advantage, he was going to start pressuring everyone. But before he had to do that, the cards started doing the work for him. There's aggression, and then there's getting aces when your opponent has kings. Poker players call this Hold'em's nightmare, where the man with the second best hand can almost never escape. Leonard Mao walked right into that situation. JNT gets aces, Leonard gets kings. All the chips go into the middle. This was an opportunity for Thorel to extend his lead by miles, and the board would have the final word.
My God, 337 million.
Was there room to click there?
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
I can't speak. I'm speechless right now for us.
Yeah. Wow.
I can't believe it.
What we haven't found is a king. JNT's camp elated here. Trying to ward off the kings. That's the only available evil.
One more shot.
Success on the turn. Can Maua find the miracle? We've seen 2 outers hit turns and rivers already on the day.
Look at Natasha holding her head.
JNT.
That hand closed day 4. 8 players remained. The chip lead, neatly stacked in front of him, belonged to JNT, and day 5 was going to be a day to remember. 8 players, 1 table, $10 million waiting at the end. Jean-Noël returned to his seat with $567 million in chips. Second place had less than half of that. In tournaments, there's a concept called ICM pressure. The idea that when you have a short stack, every chip you lose matters more than every chip you win. It forces players to adjust, to avoid risk, to climb up the payout ladder. While everyone else at that table was calculating how to survive, the old man from Paris swapped a security cap for a police one, leaned back in his chair, and started doing what he always does. He started attacking. Franco Spitale was the first to fall. He went all in with ace-jack, the right play with a short stack, and ran into Eric Wasserson's queens. At an earlier stage of the tournament, Spitale had been saved by an ace on the river. This time, the ace didn't come. He went home with $1.1 million. Meanwhile, the French businessman was already thinking about the next pot, and he started ramping up the aggression with marginal hands. Queen 6, raised to $25 million. 8-4 on the button, raised to $10 million. The cards barely mattered. Eric Wasserson, one of the most prominent professionals remaining at the table, raises from early position with a pair of 6s, a solid hand, a standard open. JNT is in the small blind with 8-6 of clubs. Technically, he's dominated. A speculative hand against a made pair, out of position. Every solver in the world says this is a fold, but JNT calls, and then he finds a way to win it anyway.
He's got the chip stack to do so. He knows the big blind can't really overcall, and now he's flopping open-ended straight draw. I think there's a way he just wins this against Wass's 6s.
Yeah, that is an above-average outcome for him here. 1 club on board as well. He does slip it to Was.
And last time JNT fled the small blind of Jack 9 suited, he was up against Was as well. And Was fired 6 mil and got the fold from JNT. This time it will not happen. I wouldn't even fault him for just fast playing it here. Trying to fold out high cards. Or even pocket pairs like this. Yeah. Is he grabbing more or is it just 6? Just 6.
And just 8 high, as it was a street ago. How you feeling about things with 42 out there, 74 back if you're Was, having JNT call from the small, where we don't expect the 9-7 sort of stuff?
Interesting texture.
You just hunting cheap showdown here?
Yeah, you try to get the showdown.
Oh, this is making it tough to get there.
Telling you.
20 into 42.
It looks like an impossible call.
Yeah, it's weird though, because Wass's face reads skepticism, but the situation reads get out of Dodge, and he complies. And JNT, Randy, I'm starting to understand why you so comfortably and confidently made him your pick.
Wasserson survived, for now. But with each hand that passed, the stack in front of the old Frenchman kept growing. Peter Chien had played the entire tournament like a rock, waiting for the right moment to commit his chips. He found it here. Ace-King of Hearts. He was called by Bernhard Binder with Ace-Queen. Chien was the favorite. The odds were on his side, but the board came out with 4 diamonds, and Binder's Queen of Diamonds made the winning flush. Chien was eliminated in 7th place for $1.4 million. A cruel exit for a careful player. Now 6 remained. The table was thinning out, and somewhere in the middle of all that, Eric Wasserson had been silently waiting for the right moment to make his move against JNT. He was about to find it. Eric Wasserson, now with around 20 big blinds, makes a mini-raise to 12 million with Ace-King. JNT finds 2 jacks. Throughout the tournament, he had 3-bet with 4s, 5s, 6s, small pairs that most players would just call with. So when he raises to 31 million with jacks, it looks exactly like the same move he's been making all week. Wasserson goes all in instantly. JNT calls just as quickly. 260 million in chips in the middle, a chance to effectively end the competition and get closer to heads up.
Yeah, if JNT win this spot, he's like a huge clear favorite to winning the tournament. Sorry for stating the obvious, but this is big spot for both of them for sure. Obviously much bigger for Eric.
In all ways. 550k ladder, one that he's hoping he doesn't end up with right about now. pair. Way out in front. Jack free turn, and Jacob needs to be kept at bay if he will secure this double. What a critical moment this is. Tension-filled face. And he's done it.
A big pot that didn't go his way. A strange sight in this tournament. And just like that, the momentum started to shift. What happened next would be the first real sign that Jean-Noël Thorel wasn't invincible. Bernhard Binder opens with King-Jack from the cutoff. JNT calls with Ace-9 from the small blind. The flop comes with a king, pairing Binder immediately. He bets 9 million. Thorel calls. The turn is a 6. Both check. The river brings another king. Trips for Binder. He bets 35 million for value. JNT takes longer than usual. He thinks, he convinces himself, and he calls. It's the wrong call. For the first time since the final table began, there was a new chip leader. Bernhard Binder had arrived and had found something that no one else had managed in the entire tournament. A way to consistently take chips from the Frenchman. The question now was whether he could keep doing it. Natasha Mercier went all in with a short stack with Ace-8 and ran into Ace-Jack. The board didn't help her. She was crippled, with only 3 blinds, 1 hand from elimination. But she wasn't going to leave quietly. With her tournament life hanging by a thread, she went all in again with Ace-Queen, her best hand in a long time. JNT isolated her with King-8 of diamonds. She had the better hand. She needed it to hold.
Well, she was always going to be up against King X. Instead of the King-Jack, it's the King-8 of diamonds of JNT.
So she's in pretty good shape actually, because 1 king folding, yeah?
Look at Natasha looking over as if to be like, are you doing me a favor in this spot, or are you actually making my life harder? What are you doing out there?
No, it's my brother, I told you already. What is that crazy guy there? I don't really understand that.
10-9 deuce. And what Natasha understands is that she is a couple of cards away from 52 million. No diamond to worry about. You can see all of the stress worn on her face, her camp, feeling the weight of this moment as well as she tries to stave off elimination. Queen on the turn, and she's found top pair. You see the gut shot for JNT, kings and jacks.
It was actually a good card for JNT. He like had one more out, right?
She's not out of the woods. Oh no!
Not like that.
A devastating king of clubs.
5 players, and the landscape had completely changed. The dominant lead JNT had carried throughout the tournament had been erased. Binder was now at the top. JNT was still within reach, and Wasserson wasn't far behind. The tournament was in any of their hands. And then one of the most viral hands of the tournament, a play in which his weakened eyesight cost him dearly, and which would end up breaking the internet and changing the course of the entire tournament. The blinds were 4 million, 8 million, with an ante of 8 million. Bellarmino de Souza opens to 16 million with Jack-10 of diamonds. Bernhard calls in the small blind, sitting with a mystery hand. JNT defends with Queen-2 of hearts. The flop comes, King-9, 2 diamonds. JNT has connected with a low pair. De Souza has a flush draw and a gut shot. And Bernhard, he has something very dangerous too. Everyone checks this street. The pot stays small, for now. Then the turn falls, a queen of spades. JNT now has 2 pair, queens and 2s. De Souza just completed his straight, and Bernhard's hand, it just got much bigger too. 3 players, 3 monsters. And it's on this card that JNT does something that left the commentators stunned.
Had kings and 9s, and JNT had queen jack making a straight.
Oh.
How about Jack-10 making a straight?
Yeah, and how about JNT turning 2 pair? And we've still got the mystery hand of Binder
How
as
does
well.
Bernhard have relevant cards when these are dealt out between JNT and De Souza?
I mean, what's he got? King, queen of clubs? Pocket 9s?
It's a pretty good board for the small blind flatting range. I mean, I guess Binder could have ace-high diamonds. Like, he would flat some, ace 7 of...
Whoa!
I'm sorry?
Are you kidding me? Hang on. Did JNT know he had 2 pair?
I have to think no. I mean, how could he? He just snap folded the turn. We've seen him calling ace high.
I'm sorry, I just don't think JNT knew that he had 2 pair.
I don't think so either.
I've never seen JNT fold.
Oh my god, he would have rivered a full house.
I've never seen JNT fold 2 pair in my life. I've been calling the action on this guy for the last 3 years. I can't believe what just happened.
There's no way.
There is no way JNT knew that he had Queen Deuce of Hearts.
I mean, so Bernhard bets turn big. D'Souza sets the trap in position. Board pairs. Now you have to worry about pocket 9s. King, queen. We know one of the queens is dead.
Yeah, so it only leaves King, Queen of Diamonds? Wow. Bernard's just gone for it all.
He's putting them in.
Going for the jugular.
Is there a world where they're chopping? I mean, would Binder have Jack 10 of spades? D'Souza's got 1 time
He's
bank.
got 1 time bank, dude, to make a decision for his tournament life. Turned the nuts. River board pair. So we lose to deuces, 9s, King, Queen of Diamonds. JNT folded Queen Deuce.
Is he barreling through ace 5 of diamonds? 10-8 of spades, somehow?
This is easily.
I don't believe I go for there. Oh my god.
5, 4.
What happened on that hand didn't just cost JNT chips, it changed the energy at the entire table, and Bernhard felt it immediately. He eliminated Eric Wasserson, King-Queen against Ace-Jack, hitting a flush on the river to send the American home. Then he flopped a flush while Terrence Reed went all in with a middle pair. Another elimination, another mountain of chips added to what was becoming an unstoppable lead. Then he came again against JNT. Both players made a straight on the river, but Bernhard's was higher. By the time the dust settled, Bernhard had crossed $1 billion in chips. $1 billion. The other 2 players barely had enough to breathe. It looked like it was over, but it wasn't even close. Bernhard put JNT all in. JNT had jacks. The board ran out without help for Bernhard. The pot was sent back to the Frenchman, and just like that, he was back to $366 million. This man cannot be buried. And the next hand brought what might be the most brutal run-out of the entire tournament. 3 players remain. JNT limps from the small blind with 8-4. Bellarmino D'Souza checks his option with 10-6. This was 2 bad hands. A small pot. Nothing to get excited about, or so it seemed.
Well, this could be fireworks. Top pair against bottom pair. Modern day cooler, as we like to call it, Randy. It's tough to make pairs in this game.
Yeah, so oftentimes in these pair versus pair spots, blind versus blind limb, there is at least 1, likely 2 bets going in at some point.
D'Souza hasn't been deviating from betting big for value against JNT. Seems to just have a very straightforward game plan.
Oh, is that straightforward now?
Is it all over now?
Potentially.
60 mil out there. We've got top pair. I guess having the 6 of hearts isn't great, blocking some of the hands you'd want JNT to have, like 6-7, 6-8. But still, we've got top pair. Blind v blind. 90 million in the middle. We just saw JNT lead on the turn.
Oh my god, it's quads versus the full house. The sickest river in the deck, because there are cards where D'Souza doesn't get stacked.
It's just a $2 million river. JNT's rivered quads. It's one of the most disgusting runouts you'll ever see in WSOP history. Full house against 4 of a kind. Blind v blind.
Full pot.
All in.
JNT jams, and
how can he fold? He might be up against a 10 as well. He calls.
You go.
D'Souza's done.
Ooh. Okay.
Wow. 4 4s for $444 million.
Nice ago.
Now there were two players from nearly 3,000. Bernhard, 905 million in chips. JNT, 542 million in chips. $6 million for second place, 10 million for first. The Frenchman had the chip disadvantage, but he continued playing with his aggressive, almost careless style that had gotten him here. The professional didn't want to play big pots early on, but JNT had no intention of doing that. He opens with 7-6 off, then Queen 8, then King 4. He was making aggressive continuation bets, winning them one after another and closing the gap quickly. Bernhard could see what was happening. The old man wasn't going to wait, and just when the Austrian thought he'd seen everything JNT had to offer, the biggest pot of the tournament so far was about to be dealt. JNT gets King-Jack of diamonds on the button and raises to 20 million. Bernhard sees an interesting 9-8 of clubs and decides to take the aggressive route, raises to 75 million. Of course, John wasn't going anywhere and calls. The flop brings 10, Queen, 3. Bernhard didn't connect with this flop, and across from him he had a fearless Frenchman who wasn't going to make it easy at all.
Open ender for JNT. Gut shot, backdoor clubs, 4 binder. If JNT wins this hand, Randy, he's going to take the chip lead.
That is right. It's going to be hard to get JNT out of this pot. Binder is not looking to see bet. 2 checks.
I think he's going to go for like a double delayed.
He has been doing this so far in this heads-up match. Trying to make it a one-street game. Here he bets.
That's 120 million.
Oh, that's a big bet. 75%.
JNT's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. Oh, wow.
I mean, this is the pot of the tournament so far. 400 million in the middle. Bricks out. Spades brick. Hands like ace-5, ace-deuce. Also brick. I wonder if Bernard follows through on this river. Must be daunting given how sticky JNT is.
I mean, JNT has a lot of 10x that's played, to be honest. I wouldn't mind, though, if he threw out a smallish bet to shake out better draws.
Oh my word.
And JNT's going to try and rep.
75 million.
Look at this. Like, that's what Binder could have considered doing. Betting like 75 million, trying to fold out straight draws, spades that are better than 9 high. And then he just gave it up. And
Randy,
chip leader.
JNT's the chip leader, man. Can you believe what we're witnessing?
After that hand, you'd think one of them would pull away. Instead, after a full hour of back-and-forth war, both had 725 million, completely even, 60 blinds each. As if nothing had happened, Bernhard had a problem, and he knew it. JNT kept making the pro nervous. This was supposed to be over by now, but the Frenchman kept betting hard, with or without hands, taking more pots than he was supposed to take, until this hand happened, which would completely change the momentum. JNT opens from the button with ace-jack to 31 million. Bernhard defends with queen 6, and the flop gives him an open-ender, 5, 4, 3. JNT stays true to his style and makes a c-bet of 30 million. Bernhard simply calls. The turn doesn't help either of them. 10 of diamonds. JNT has ace-jack. Definitely not an automatic bet on this board, but he continues anyway. Bets 100 million. Bernhard couldn't have liked his draw as much after this huge bet, but he stays firm. He has a read and decides to call once more, and the next card was life or death for the young pro.
Top card on the flop pairing here on the river. Does this open the door to convert queen high into a bluff under presumptions that JNT doesn't have 5x in range as a raise on the button?
I mean, potentially, but the problem is if JNT's got a 10, I don't really think he's the type to fold it. He might be thinking about like a smallish bet to fold out a higher draw, like a king high spades, maybe an ace jack like this. But he'd have to bet big enough to get those hands to fold. It's crossing his mind, as you can see. His mind tinkering.
Seconds.
334.
Oh,
wow, did he just go 3? Oh my god.
This is so dicey.
That was a great move by the pro, who now retook the lead. A lesser man wouldn't have survived there, but if Bernhard thought the old man was going to back down, he was completely wrong. They go to a flop, 3-6, Jack. JNT has an open-ender with 5-4 and bets 30 million. Bernhard saw that his opponent was c-betting almost every time, so he goes for a check-raise bluff to 75 million with only 8-4 and a backdoor flush draw. Of course, John had to see the next card, which was a 3 of diamonds, giving more equity to Bernhard, and he decides to keep the pressure with another bet of 150 million, back to the Frenchman, who now only had a weak draw, but despite his age, his heart wasn't.
There's 510 million in the middle. High card versus high card. It's an ace. What do you do now if you're Binder?
More importantly for me, if Binder does shut her down, which I'm not sure he's going to, will JNT activate appropriately?
Check.
Okay, he has shut it down. With the 8
Oh
high,
my
and look at JNT just drop the dump truck off, and it's his turn.
Wow. They just put in 350 million.
The professional looked clearly frustrated, almost anxious with the whole situation. He couldn't read his opponent, who kept betting every time the cards hit the felt, the bracelet was slipping away, and he was going to do everything possible to prevent that from happening. Bernhard opens Queen 10 of diamonds and is called by Jack 9 of clubs. The flop comes ace, 7, 9. The Austrian continues with a bet of 40 million, and JNT, with his pair of 9s and backdoor flush draw, calls. The turn is an action card, the 8 of clubs. Bernhard now has a straight draw added to his bluff, and continues this time for 90 million. The Frenchman looks at his cards several times, perhaps verifying if he had clubs in his hand, possibly revealing the strength of his hand to some extent, and he calls. The river is a brick, the 4 of spades. It doesn't help anyone, but that wasn't going to stop the action.
320 million in the pot, just north of 1 SPR. Effective.
And JNT is potentially coming in with block? He's leading 80 mil.
He's bobbing and weaving out here, man. This is quarter pot, by the way. And this is, what are we trying to do? Do we just close our eyes and decide that that 10 is worth more than it is? And do something savage and heroic?
Well, JNT's line is peculiar, right? Because he's betting small, kind of saying out loud, I've got one pair. Is it one pair 9s? Is it one pair ace? Binder might even consider moving in. You saw him immediately look at his chips and see, do I have enough to fold out a block?
Eventually the guy who is mixing it up is going to have it. And Binder doesn't want to take what he might deem to be a needless risk at any point in this match.
If he risks it here, it likely would work. But if he risks it and his opponent is just kind of messing with them, it could be over.
Oh my God, did he jam it? He has jammed it. Is JNT going to call? If he clicks call, it's a wrap, Randy.
Wow.
This is a bluff for 10 million.
Oh, and he folds. What a play from Binder.
Second time.
Incredibly, almost 2 hours after the first break, both were practically even again. Still 60 big blinds each, an unlikely heads-up battle that no one saw coming. But something was different now. Bernhard retakes the lead when they go to a 10-7 Jack-3 King board. He makes a very well-timed value bet with Jack-2 of 65 million, getting the call from JNT, who only had a 10. A bad call, but the next hand would be worse. JNT tries to bluff with 5-4, and the Frenchman simply abandons it. Doesn't follow through with the bluff, bleeding even more chips without a fight. After this, the deck kept favoring the Austrian pro. He got better hands, connected more with the board, and used his experience to outplay the amateur, until he was back to over $1 billion in chips, leaving JNT with only 300 million. The tournament that had felt so close was now slipping away, and there was only one hand left that could save it. After days of play, thousands of eliminations, and top-tier plays, JNT was all in with King-Queen against Bernhard's Ace-8. The tournament would be decided by the order of the next 5 cards.
And he is calling.
It's go time, Randy. It's been a bit of a slog at times, but since we came back from this break, it has been all Austria. As Thorel digs in behind, but with decent equity. A 3-2 dog in a pot for the title. Both rails joining one another, as regardless of result, heads will be held high. For JNT, hoping that an L is not hung around him on a 9-6 deuce board. The climb grows further uphill as he slips to 23%. He hunts paint.
Queen.
One more chance, Ollie.
No Monet on the turn. Bernhard Binder, just one card away potentially from winning the Super Main. Can he ward off kings and queens and wrap it up here? Anxiety mounts, and the bracelet is his.
Binder's done it.
$10 million richer. On the flip side of this, of course, Jean-Noël Thorel again denied glory. Another runner-up finish for him. Had his hands full. $6 million richer is JNT. Can't wipe the smile off his face.
Bernhard won the 2025 WSOP Paradise Super Main event, $10 million. His first WSOP bracelet. JNT finished second, $6 million, the biggest cash of his career. He stood up slowly, shook Bernhard's hand, and smiled. The smile of a man who has nothing to regret, because the #1 player in the history of French poker, the man who built a global empire before ever touching a deck of cards, who showed up to the biggest tournaments in the world and refused to be intimidated by anyone, was a few hands away from $10 million and the title of world champion at 78 years old.